I want to give some backstory to explain where I am coming from and why this situation is so hurtful for me. My husband and I come from similar backgrounds. Our families were paycheck to paycheck, and not many went to college. We both have degrees and make significantly more than the rest of our respective families. When we got married, I was already a homeowner of a small house and had a car. My husband, however, had a lot of debt, and his credit was trash. It wasn't his fault. He had significant student loans and had frequently had to help his family members with money. He also has ADHD and had mishandled some bills. I was understanding of his situation, but I was also anxious to help him get debt-free so we can have kids without such burdens over us. He was making $80K and I was making $100K. He moved in with me and we split expenses 50-50, except that he didn't have to pay any rent. I fully covered the mortgage and home insurance since he's not on the deed, and I also paid extra into his debt so he can pay it off early. His car loan is in my name, and I also cover half of that. I do IT technical support, and I got the opportunity to take a job that required 50% travel but paid a lot more. We together decided that I'd do this job for a few years to significantly shore up our savings and pay off a good portion of the debt. I did this job for a little over 2 years till I got pregnant, and then took a lower paying job, $120K now, which doesn't require travel. The travel job paid more, but it was so hard on me. I was traveling to the back ends of small towns where the big warehouses and data centers are located, and the job is physically demanding, pulling cables, moving equipment, working in very cold conditions. I was miserable in this job and ended up with some back problems, but it was a sacrifice for our family. When I was 8 months pregnant, my husband asked for a paternity test. It came out of nowhere, and I asked him if he didn't trust me, and he said he did, but because I did so much travel, he just needed some assurance for his peace of mind. He said his family and friends have asked him how he could be so sure of this pregnancy when I have been out of home for so many nights. It really broke my heart that I did so much for this man and didn't try to protect my assets or my money, and he treats me like this. I got very hormonal and cried about it, so he stopped pressuring me then. Now our son is 3 months old, and he's back at it again. He's put his foot down that I need to have the paternity test done, and he won't sign the birth certificate otherwise. I told him his name is already on the birth certificate because we are married, and I did the paperwork before they discharged us at the hospital. He didn't realize that would be the case and is furious at me, thinking that I tricked him. So here I am stuck, married to a man who not only doesn't love me or trust me, but is an idiot. His family is calling me and pressuring me to let him do the test. My family is offended on my behalf, but some mutual friends are saying a test is not a big deal. But it is such a slap in the face after all I have done for him. Am I wrong for how I am feeling? Now for a few important comments. Not the idiot, but I just don't see why you don't do the test. I personally think they should always do paternity tests at the hospital after the birth. I'm not saying you cheated or you ever would, but it happens a lot. You'd be surprised how often men find out they're raising other people's kids. A lot of people do a lot of things, but our relationship was supposed to be built on trust, and that's why I took a lot of financial risks for him. If he had set out at the beginning, saying his trust is conditional, then okay, I wouldn't have been surprised by this. But he is okay with me paying so much for him and just trusting that he won't cheat on me or divorce me and leave me exploited. But he doesn't have to trust me in turn. How is that fair? And if he had discussed any of this before I got pregnant, that would have been a different situation, and I probably wouldn't have reacted to this negatively. But to put this on me when I am about to give birth, that makes me not trust him in turn. What do I get out of letting him insult me like this? Info. You said that he has financially supported his family. How has said support been as of late? Yes, that has been a problem. One of the major dings on his credit report is because he co-signed a used car loan for his brother, who then flaked on making payments because it got too expensive to maintain that car. He helps out with his parents' medical bills and phone bills regularly, and also pitches in when they run short on money for other bills. I don't stop him from that, but we've had arguments about him contributing for parties or vacations for them. There was a major fallout from his refusal to co-sign another sibling's rental application. He's fought his family directly, though. He didn't use me as a scapegoat or blame me, I don't think. Hand him the test results with divorce papers. Sheesh. What do women see in men like this that makes them so irresistible that they pay tens of thousands of dollars for the privilege of taking care of him? No intimacy can be that good. I saw him as a kind man who worked hard and took care of his family. I expected him to show the same loyalty to me since I am now his family. I thought I was doing my part, helping him out where he was vulnerable, and in turn, I thought I'd have his support. Not the idiot. Why hasn't he already paid to have the test himself? He's that lazy and incompetent, and that's your fault somehow? I'd also tell him he gets to pay 100% of his car loan, because clearly you need to be saving money for security. Oop. When he first brought it up, I was 8 months pregnant, so need my participation for the test. Now the baby is always attached to me, so maybe he didn't think he could do it without my noticing. He could have waited a year or so, but I guess patience for my sake is too much to ask. Now for the 13-day update. I read the comments and took some time to think about what I wanted to do. I decided to go ahead with the paternity test to put his mind at ease. The results came back and confirmed he is the father. He apologized for doubting me, but the damage has been done. I'm considering my options and what this means for our future. In my previous post here, I had asked about how to deal with my husband wanting a paternity test. We did the test and got the expected results. He wanted to get one that has legal validity, not a home test. It was a lot more expensive, and he paid for it. We had to use the agency to swab samples and maintain a chain of custody. I was surprised and bothered that he had this planned, but he covered the high price, and it'd be in my interest to have a clear, indisputable legal trail, so we went and did that. He's been over the moon happy since I agreed to do this, and I resent his happiness. He got the STI panel done, and that was clean too. He was surprised by my request, but didn't argue about it. He said it's just a test, no big deal. He was a lot more weirded out about a post-nup and flat out refused to cooperate there. I gave up on that because I consulted a lawyer, and I can't get much from that anyway. Whatever I have spent on him and his debt is gone, and I can't expect anything back. And we are in a community property state. We argued a lot about separating finances with him, accusing me of trying to control him using money. He pointed out that we were a couple years away from him becoming debt-free, and if I leave it all on him, then it'll take him 5+ years. He still does not understand how his showing a lack of trust in me is comparable. He kept arguing that if he were the one with more money, he'd have spent it on me, and for me to use this now makes me a bad partner. He came around and agreed to contributing more to bills after seeing how much my family has turned cold towards him. I am close to my family, and they had loved him, but this has made them upset at him. My little sister was outright rude to him, which really got to him. He is the middle child and was frequently teased and bullied by his siblings. My sister was the only relative who loved him like an older brother and doted on him. My words and arguments didn't move him, but he got upset about her icing him out, so now he'll be paying for his own car and contributing to insurance and covering his debt by himself. Still no rent, because he simply can't afford it. I wasn't going to ask him to stop supporting his parents, and after all that, there's nothing in his bucket. I wasn't thinking divorce when I wrote the post, and I still don't want it. But I feel like I am falling out of love with this man. Like the scales have fallen from my eyes, and all his faults that I had minimized before stand out glaringly. My mother is fully on my side, but she has advised me to not make any quick decisions. I don't know what I'm going to do. He's trying to be helpful and a good partner, but it feels like an act. Am I the idiot for taking a DNA test and finding out I had a twin sister who died of cancer before I could meet her? So I did a 23andMe test, and my results shocked me. Not in terms of heritage, but the fact that it says I have an identical twin sharing 100% DNA with me. However, her profile says she was born in 1940 and lives in Canada. I was born in 1996 and live in the UK. Is there a possibility she is really an identical twin and submitted her birth date wrong? I thought it was just a mistake, but seriously, her photo looks so much like me, and she looks young in the photo, and it's clearly a modern photo. She looks like me. I tried messaging, but no response. I'm so confused. Any thoughts? I'm also adopted and don't know my birth family. I am going to talk to my adopted parents as soon as they wake up. I am shaking. Photo in comments. I spoke to my adopted parents. They say, as it was a closed adoption, they didn't receive much information about my family, just that I was born in the UK and have a UK birth certificate and placed for adoption on the day of my birth. No response yet. She hasn't accepted my request or been online from what I can see. Also, to answer questions, no, I haven't done any other type of DNA test before. My birth certificate said nothing about a twin, and I reversed. Google searched her image and found a social media profile. I added her on that too. I know her name now, at least. I also appreciate the offers to help, but I feel it would be wrong of me to be intrusive towards her. I would feel more comfortable to let it happen organically, please. I know you are eager for updates, and I am also very excited, but I don't think trying to track her down intensely is the way I want to do this. I'll just wait to see if she accepts my request, as I want to be respectful of her. I don't want to scare her away. Guys, her social media profile photos look like me. It's like looking at myself in an alternate reality. I am so stunned. My adoptive parents are also absolutely shocked. I will update if anything happens. Now for a few comments. Other users in this sub have mentioned using incorrect birthdays. Before you do anything else, take screenshots or make PDFs of her profile page and your predicted family tree. See if you can download your match data. Yeah, it's a fake birthday. When OP asked if there is any way it could be an error that she's an identical twin, MountainBird57 replied, "No, DNA testing for familial relations is extremely accurate, especially in a clear-cut case with sharing 100% of your DNA. This is your twin." OP responded, "If this is true, I am absolutely speechless right now. Thank you for your reply. Wow. Alternatively, your parents swabbed you and sent it in." OP replied, "I understand, but the photo of her is what's really getting me thinking. It's not a photo of me. She has a different hairstyle that I have never had, but her face is literally my face. Good luck. I hope they write back. Tibao, I sadly do not think it's unusual for twin adoptees to be separated, especially if you were not originally from the UK or US, like China, Russia, etc. She is likely open to this news. She left her matches on for a reason, so was not just looking for health info." OP responded, "I am East Asian, so yes, adoption to white families is common. I wonder if I got adopted to a British family and she got adopted to an American-Canadian family. Her location says Canada. Op, have you spoken to your parents?" OP replied, "Closed adoption, so I can't find any information and they don't know, or at least that's what they tell me. Through the state, private, religious. Have you read much about twin studies and why they're conducted differently now?" OP responded, "I honestly haven't asked many questions about the adoption. I just know I was adopted. I didn't ask a lot because I'm generally happy, but I basically did this test out of curiosity about my health genetics and also to confirm my ethnicity. I've been having health issues, so that led me to do this test, and the family relations were just an added bonus, I suppose. But I wasn't expecting to see an identical twin, and I don't know much about twin studies. Sorry. Now for the 4-day update. Final update. Really freaking depressing news. So, the request was accepted. I messaged straight away and explained my life and how I was so excited to talk to her and meet my twin. I got a reply from her adopted parents that basically she had done the DNA test to find any of her biological family before she died, since she had a terminal cancer diagnosis. She died not knowing she had a twin out there, me. And I now have to go my entire life knowing I had an identical twin I never got the chance to meet. She died a little over 2 years ago, aged 25, which explains why she hadn't been online for 2 years. Thankfully, she had signed up using her adopted mom's email, so after her death, her mom could still see if there were any matches. I spoke to her and she told me a lot about my twin. Heartbreakingly, despite having never knew each other, we sound so similar. She did live in Canada, and she is buried there. We even studied the same thing at college and university. I'm hoping one day to meet her parents and visit her grave. I am devastated beyond words. Sorry, it's not the happy story we were all hoping for. What the frick am I supposed to even do with this information? Now for a few comments. I can't imagine what it's like for the adopted parents knowing there's someone out there that looks identical to their dead daughter. OP replied, "Ugh, I never even thought this." Also consider they might find it beautiful that someone akin to her likeness lives on. It could give them some form of solace. It is really rare for twins to be separated in this day and age. Her parents would probably love to get to know you. You might also want to medical history from them, especially about the cancer. And you grieve. It's a different kind of grief, since you didn't know her. Bert, you grieve the loss of a future sister. Do you know what kind of cancer it was? I'd be getting screened for that ASAP. Terrible news. OP replied, "They told me, and yes, I will get on that. Thank you. That is indeed sad. Did they give you her obituary information or anything? I was wondering if you could look her up on Find a Grave." OP responded, "They did send me some information, her order of service and where she is buried. I'm so heartbroken. I will have to take a trip out to there." Am I the idiot for not inviting my friends to my Christmas party after they snubbed me from their wedding? I throw a pretty big Christmas party every year, going on a decade now. A few years ago at one, I threw my friend Tara, met my former coworker Tony, and they hit it off. They dated for a while, and 2 years later, once again at my Christmas party, she showed up with a ring on her finger, and they announced for the first time that they were engaged. I was super happy for them. They got married this spring. We didn't get invited. When I was sending around my party invitations this year, I didn't see any reason to invite them back if they didn't think I wasn't worthy of making their guest list. I have known them both for years, basically introduced them, and they literally announced their engagement at my home. It got back to me today that they're very upset with us for not inviting them this year, that my party is something they consider special, and they think I'm being petty. A couple friends mentioned it was a smaller wedding, and they feel like I'm just punishing them. It wasn't, though. There were probably 200 people there, and I knew at least 50 of them. And I was a little surprised at some of the names that made the cut over us. I didn't make a stink about it or anything, but I don't see why I should welcome them into my home again after being snubbed like that. My partner thinks I should just let it go and invite them back. But I don't see a reason why I should. Am I the idiot? Now for some comments. Nickit92. Not the idiot. You can invite and not invite whoever you want without any reason. And if they want one, it is a smaller party this year. Hodo and Fuego. 100% this. If the event was so special to them, then they would associate it with you as well as a special friend and would have invited you. Piffly. It also feels so tacky to steal OP's Christmas party to announce their engagement like that. If they asked OP beforehand, then it would be different, but just showing up with the rings on. HCO 2000, right? They got a snazzy engagement party that had bartenders and was catered for free. It's gross that they're more upset that they're missing the party, and not that they hurt OP, even if wasn't their intention. The clumsy pirate. Not the idiot. If they can't even invite the person who introduced them to their wedding, then I don't think they should expect an invitation to your Christmas party. If you're not close enough to make it to the wedding invite list, why should they be close enough to you to make it to your Christmas party? When OP was asked about the details of the party, he said, "Haha, you don't know the half of it. Over the last few years, we have literally had it catered, had bartenders inside and outside, even hired someone to entertain kids earlier in the night. My partner and I put so much time, energy, and money into this every year because we love our friends. It started out small when we were younger, and now it's this big thing. I just don't like being taken for granted." Bransonon. Yeah, this is all making a lot more sense now. You go out of your way every year to throw this huge party for everyone, and now they're upset. They're the only ones that are missing out. Not like they cared when all of your friends went to their wedding and you were the only ones missing out. Screw these people. You don't owe them anything. OP replied, "Yeah, I guess that about sums it up. Thank you." Welly Kiwi, that sounds awesome. I'll be your friend. OP responded. Haha, I bet you'd be a much more fun party guest than they would. I did introduce them. Okay, not with the idea of setting them up or anything, more like introducing one group of friends to another and then they hit it off. They did use my party as an engagement announcement. I guess it kind of made sense. They had just gotten engaged a couple days before and hadn't made it public yet. All of our friends were there. Everyone, including us, were excited for them. I thought of her as a pretty close friend. She'd come over all the time to hang out when she was single. He was a former coworker, so not as close, but we double dated a bit early in their relationship before the pandemic. Now for the update. 7 days later. Dang y'all, I never expected my post would blow up the way it did. Here's the update. I stuck to my guns and did not invite them to my Christmas party. My partner stood by me when I told him I had made my decision and didn't bring it up again. Neither did our friends. Many of you guessed that they would try and crash our party. I got worried that could happen after all the responses, but thankfully it didn't. Probably 100 plus of you guessed she wanted to hijack the party to announce she was pregnant. If that's the case, they haven't told anyone, as far as I know. They did, however, decide to try and throw their own party at the same time as ours. Several friends told us they were trying to convince them to come to theirs instead. I honestly hope they had some guests and had a great time. I wish them no ill will. But I think just about everyone we expected came to our party, so I doubt they poached any guests from us. They made enough of a last-minute fuss over this that the whole thing became the gossip of our party. Their doing, not mine. I chose to not engage in it, but the consensus I heard was everyone thought it was bizarre. They chose not to invite us to their wedding, and that them complaining about not being invited to our party was in poor taste. Most common question on Reddit was why did we not get an invite to their wedding? From what I can tell from people at our party gossiping about the situation, they've said it was because we're a little bit older than they are. I think that's weird, since my partner and I are both 35. They're 28, 29, so it's not like we're very far apart. Tara used to hang out with us at least once a week when she was single, and I literally introduced them. The whole thing still seems strange to me, but I guess it is what it is. So yeah, that's how it all went down. Our party was a blast. We got to see so many friends, some of which we haven't really seen since before Infection 19. Everyone had a great time. People literally brought toddlers we hadn't gotten to meet yet because of how crazy the world has been over the last couple of years. It was a wonderful evening. I hope y'all had as good of a Christmas as we did. Now for some comments. LV, props to you for standing by your initial decision. They absolutely didn't deserve to be invited to your party, and I am very glad you ended up having a great time. The Rabble Alliance. They absolutely didn't deserve to be invited to your party. Also glad to read the friends, guests of OP agreed that the couple were acting in poor taste. If I were at the Christmas party, I would have tagged the absent couple in some fun party photos on Instagram to remind them of what they missed out on due to their boorish behavior. The Four-Riker Maneuver. Yeah, it has nothing to do with your age. You and your spouse throw this big party. People enjoy your hospitality and appreciate you. If you came to their wedding, you would have taken attention away from the bride. People would have talked about your parties, they would have socialized with you, and at the end of the day, the bride and groom were not mature enough to deal with that. Creepy addict. This could very well be the reason, but some people are just users and not actually your friends. Mocha Lure 1. They did, however, decide to try and throw their own party at the same time as ours. Something told me that they would do this. It just speaks of their true character and makes them look bad. Most common question on Reddit was, why did we not get an invite to their wedding? They've said it was because we're a little bit older than they are. I think that's weird since my partner and I are both 35, they're 28, 29. You're right, it is weird, and that's because it's a lie. Well, OP, the end of your friendship with this couple is a gift. Happy New Year. Now for a few comments. Then another commenter said, you're right, it is weird, and that's because it's a lie. Then another commenter added, well, OP, the end of your friendship with this couple is a gift. Happy New Year.